Here is 10 abandoned places in Arizona. Number 1, the abandoned domes of Casa Grande. Upon first glance, these buildings may just look like UFOs or something out of a Star Wars movie, but they actually served a more practical use. You see, these buildings were originally built in 1982, and their purpose was to manufacture circuit boards for computers and watches. The unique design of the buildings was chosen due to its speediness of construction and low cost. Each building cost around $150,000 to construct and only took about 6 weeks to build. And as soon as it seemed like things were taking off, well, in 1983, the operations came to a halt due to a defaulted loan, and they've been sitting here in the desert ever since. The domes are on private property, and in recent years, one of the domes actually partially collapsed. Now, if that doesn't deter you from coming onto the property, maybe this will. You see, it's been rumored that strange events have been known to occur out here, such as satanic rituals and sacrifices. Some even claim they've seen unexplainable shadows and hear strange voices. Now, I don't know what I necessarily believe, but I'll let you guys decide that. Let me know what you think in the comments section down below. Number 2, Seneca Lake Trading Post and Resort. Now this one is truly a sad story. This place had so much potential, but unfortunately it never reached it. And in my opinion, I think this resort could have grown into something bigger than what its expectations were. You see, the San Carlos Apache tribe built this place in the early 1970s with high hopes and a cost of around $524,000. There was a restaurant, a trading post, campground with cabins, and a beautiful lake further back in the campground. This would have been an ideal summer destination, especially for fishing and boating. Heck, there was even plans to build a motel, a golf course, and riding stables. And who could forget the viewing point where one could gaze for hours at the stunning views of the Salt River Canyon. But unfortunately, the tribe defaulted on the loan and investors quickly recouped what they could. All that sits out there to this day is some graffiti-covered cabins, the restaurant, bathrooms, and picnic tables and canopies scattered throughout the campground. And if you're out there at the right time, you might actually be able to catch a glimpse of a huge waterfall. But I'll let you guys find that one. Number 3, the Gold King Mansion. The Gold King Mansion is tucked away at the base of the Hualapai Mountains near Kingman, Arizona. The Gold King Mansion was originally built in 1929, and its purpose was to provide entertainment for investors of the mine, as well as provide housing for some of the foremen. If you ever get the chance to explore this place, I would definitely recommend it. And if you want directions and want to know if you can drive or hike out to its location, no worries, I got you covered. I explored this place last year and put together a video which encompasses my exploration, but it also provides you a map, directions, and details on how to get out here. The link for that video, along with the rest of my explorations of these locations, will also be in the description below. Now, also in that same year it was built, 1929, operations at the mine soon declined due to the stock market crash, and the mine just ended up not being as profitable as once hoped. It still sits out there to this day, and the Bureau of Land Management actually stepped in to help preserve its state for future generations to enjoy. Now, I gotta say, this place definitely gave off some Blair Witch vibes as I was strolling through the mansion, and if you've ever been out here and you've seen that movie, you know exactly what I mean. Number 4, the abandoned pancake house at Fort Courage. So if you ever decide to get your kicks on Route 66, then get your kicks on here. Route 66 is home to many abandoned buildings going through the state of Arizona, but one that sticks out is the abandoned pancake house and Fort Courage. From what I could find on the web, this place was built in the 1970s, and its goal was to bring in tourism by building a replica setting to that of the 1960s television show F Troop. Now, I've never heard of that show, but then again, I am a millennial. Anyways, the pancake house also had a Taco Bell, coffee shop, Ortega's Tacos. There was even a gift shop that sold merchandise of all sorts, and an Armco gas station nearby. Behind the pancake house and gift shop, it looked like there was either a small hotel or little housing units, more than likely for the workers of the roadside attraction. Now, I couldn't find a whole lot of in-depth history on this place, but hey, if these walls could talk, I'm sure they could share quite the stories. Just another thing to see on the old Route 66. Number 5, the abandoned gas station and jail cell in the Salt River Canyon. Tucked away in what I would refer to as the heart of the Salt River Canyon, you will find an old gas station and jail cell. Now, I couldn't find too much information about these buildings, but from the comments that were left on my video that I made about this place, I was able to find out that this gas station was open as early as the 1960s and was last open around 2005. Now, as far as the jail cell goes, I found a couple different websites that said it could have been used possibly just as a tourist attraction, or it could have been used as a legitimate jail cell for mischievous tourists. Who would have thought? Now, I don't quite know what to believe when it comes to these theories, but if you know, feel free to share with the rest of us down in the comments section down below. Now, the reason I consider this the heart of the Salt River Canyon is due to its location. Near the bottom of the canyon, there is 2 bridges, One you can drive across to get to the other side, and the other one you can walk across for your viewing pleasure. There you can get some pretty spectacular views of the canyon and the Salt River, and hey, there's even a small waterfall further up the stream. But heads up, this is on a reservation, so if you plan on doing any hiking here, you will need a permit. Number 6, the abandoned Phoenix Mart. So what do you get when you mix high hopes with a large budget, 1.5 million square feet on 585 acres of land, and then throw in a deal gone wrong with some investors? Well, you get a massive building sitting out in the middle of the desert, just like the one you see here doing absolutely nothing. Phoenix Mart was set to bring in vendors from all over the world and bring in many jobs, but as far as those plans are concerned, it's still undecided what will happen. But for now, it still makes a great place to explore. I went out here with my drone and my longboard and had a blast boarding around the place. There really isn't too much to see, except for some bird poop, tumbleweeds, and steel support beams. Although this would make a great place to film a music video. Now, parts of it do flood pretty easily after it rains, and it does have a creepy, eerie feel to it when you're walking around the place. As far as what the future holds for this trading center, only time will tell. Number 7, the abandoned motels of Gray Mountain. Located about 40 miles north of Flagstaff, Arizona, in the little town of Gray Mountain sits 3 abandoned motels. One of them is lit up with some of the most beautiful artwork I've ever seen. It's definitely worth stopping in at and taking pictures, as most tourists do. Now, when I was out here almost 2 years ago, I was slightly surprised by what I had seen. One of the rooms in the motels actually still had power on, and a couple of the rooms seemed to have the doors kicked in and had sleeping bags on the mattresses with what appeared to be half-eaten canned food items on the dressers. Now, I didn't want to stick around too long in the event of any unexpected squatters returning, but I still walked around the motels just to see what I could find. Most entrances to the guest rooms, offices, and utility rooms were either locked or boarded up. But since my last visit, the artwork on the side of one of the motels has grown considerably and is more vibrant than ever. So the next time you're heading north coming out of Flagstaff, Arizona, keep your eyes open. You won't want to miss it. Number 8, Santa Claus, Arizona. 'Tis the season to be driving down the road and then suddenly spotting a Santa Claus theme park. If you've ever drove from Las Vegas to Kingman, Arizona, vice versa, chances are you've seen this run-down, deteriorating theme park, or what's left of it. Santa Claus, Arizona dates back to 1937, and for a while it was a thriving tourist attraction that was meant to attract buyers of the surrounding land. And as you can see, nothing ever transpired. All that sits left in Santa Claus today isn't milk and cookies. You'll find a few abandoned buildings, Santa Claus graphics, and a wishing well, and that was actually pretty cool to see. It reminded me of that one scene in the Goonies. Now, I do believe the land is currently for sale, but with it being surrounded by a junkyard, I don't know how tempting that is to buyers. Santa Claus, Arizona barely hangs on to this day, and while there's not much there, it always makes for a fun quick stop on the way to Las Vegas. And while you won't find any presents underneath the trees here, Santa Claus is just another storytelling roadside attraction along the side of the highway. Number 9, the abandoned Painted Desert Motel on Route 66. See, one day I was driving down the old historic Route 66, and I wasn't really paying attention to the road, and I happened to glance off to the left-hand side of the highway, and I saw this abandoned motel. Now, instantly, I had this innate urge to pull over and go check it out. I started wandering through the rooms and didn't see nothing but tumbleweeds, trash, mattresses, and some old Doc Martens. Oh shoot, I broke character. Anyhow, not much is known about this place, but it couldn't have been abandoned for too long. You see, if you go to Google Earth and do a street view, you will see cars in the parking lot, and the motel doesn't look like a complete dump just yet. And judging by the Doc Martens, I'm gonna guess this place probably closed up shop sometime within the first few years of the early 2000s. Now, if y'all have any info on this place, or if you ever stayed here, please feel free to share your story with us in the comment section down below. Until then, this is just another memory along Route 66. Number 10, the abandoned homes of the Silverado community. These abandoned houses you see here were all once part of a greater project, with plans to build 12,000 homes, a golf course, schools, and other commercial development. What you see here was all part of the Silverado master planned community. But unfortunately, it wasn't as master planned as thought out to be, mainly due to the housing crash of 2008. These homes are all that remains of the Silverado community. It truly is a sad story. They were off to a great start. I mean, these houses were virtually complete. Now they just sit out here in the desert succumbing to the elements of the weather and vandals. Someone later commented on my video that they used this place as an airsoft field, but I didn't get any more information beyond that. But this would be a prime location for that sort of activity though. It is pretty evident at this point that these houses will never be repurposed for anything in the future. They crossed the point of no return a long time ago. They are for the most part well intact, but when you do stop caring for a property, it doesn't take long for Mother Nature to reclaim what's hers. These houses at one point in time symbolized wealth, opportunity, and prosperity, and now they just symbolize vacancy. And hey, if you guys ever end up exploring any of these places, just know that you are responsible for your own actions. Some of these places do have signs posted that clearly say private property, no trespassing, while others don't. Do whatever you would like with that information,